Hello, this is Dr. Rosie Kuhn, and this podcast series is called Aging Like a Guru. Who, me? And today is the 100th podcast. It's actually 101, including the introduction. But today is a big day, I think, for me to come to this level of success and fulfillment of saying, okay, I'm going to complete 100 of these podcasts and see what happens from there. So who knows what's going to happen? A lot has happened for me in doing these podcasts. And I mean, a lot has happened on the inside in a sense. I've learned a lot, and I've learned to listen to myself and see that as I age and go through this aging process, that there are certain things that have come true for me and have been revealed because of doing these podcasts. And so I thought maybe I would take today to do a little bit of a summary of some of those things that we've covered and that were part of the intention of doing these podcasts in the first place. So the first thing that has been consistent throughout these 101 podcasts is that I want to encourage you to be curious about who you are inside this aging process. And you've heard me say this over and over again, that I don't have any answers for you, and my practice has been to not tell you what to do or how to do it or where to go, aside from getting support from a therapist or a coach or spiritual director or doctor or where you need to get support. But be curious about who you are inside this process of aging. And that starts as early as probably 18, I think, if not earlier. Which brings me to my second point, which is start early in figuring out who you are. So most of us don't think about that, who we are in the big scheme of things, and how we be in these human experiences. And lately, in fact, I just did a Friday feast on Facebook about the fact that most of us don't know how to do. I don't know how to do me. A lot of times I don't know how to do me. And so I look at what other people are doing and I try to emulate and use them as a model for me. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I have to listen to and look at who I am and how do I want. Sometimes it's not, part of it is how do I want to do me? And that comes down to, do I want to do me as a frustrated, lonely victim, aging, dependent person? Or do I want to do me as a joyful, creative, spontaneous, playful, independent, vital individual? That's my choice. And I'm responsible for how I want to do that. And I want you to see, oh, I'm responsible for that too, from the very early age. And it's not so much about the results of the end. Okay, I have to, we think about our retirement plan. We think about, our financial situations and as we age so that we can retire and have enough money, or Social Security and all of Medicare and those kinds of things we plan for. But at the same time, we're not seeing who we are inside this experience that we're having in our humanness. And so I'm wanting you to be curious earlier rather than later. And if it is later, all the more reason to be curious of who you are in this process of aging like a guru. And this is another element of these podcasts, is to say, there is an inner guru in you. There is this inner wisdom that is always with you, has always been with you, and is always there for you to source into, to say, let me see this a different way. Show me who I am in this. Give me an opportunity to experience me here in this, where I feel safe and trusting of myself in this experience. This is another element of this. I would say it's number 4 of learning to trust you, learning how to be safe within you, learning that you have incredible capacities, and every day you demonstrate those capacities. You may not believe yourself in how you demonstrate those capacities, but every day you are developing new capacities and demonstrating the capacities to be wise and utilize intelligence and be strong and courageous every single day. It takes a lot to get out of bed as a human being, and to wake up and go, oh my God, the world is so complex, and the political and emotional system, the environment and families and work and money and all of those things create such complexity and stress. It's challenging, and we're waking up every day into that. And we have a choice to say, how do I want to be inside all of that? So the more that we can say, okay, I want to be joyous and playful and creative, then I get to train myself to be that. So I want that for you too. How you are now, regardless of your age, how you are now is how you will be when you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. You'll be the same person. So again, if it's not comfortable being you now, then get some support or do some research or do some spiritual immersion work with yourself to say, what is it that I don't like about myself? And can I change that, or is that something I just have to accept? There are certain things that we can change about ourselves, and there are certain things that we can't. The aging element of life is one thing that we can't change. And so how do we accept that? How do we accept the things that we cannot change? There's certain elements of me that is just me. And the more that I come to accept me, then the more relaxed I am with me, rather than having to pretend I'm not me and pretend I'm somebody else. And I've been doing that a long time, and I know millions of people. Not that I know millions of people, I know millions of people act that way. They are not in alignment with their highest knowing, their highest good. They don't even know who they are. And that's a question that comes up so often in my my coaching practice. Is people say, I don't know who I am. How am I supposed to know how to do me when I don't even know who I am? These are people not in their 50, in their teens or their early 20s. These are people in their 50s and 60s or 40s. I don't know who I am. How am I supposed to know how to be me? And so as we age, and we're aging like gurus, we have the idea is to become more conscious of, oh, here's how I'm doing me. Is this me, or is this me just doing me as a role, as a pretending? These are all the questions I'm wanting for you to ask yourself, so that you can be more accountable for having a great life and taking an active, participating, empowered role in your evolution as you go through this process of aging and dying. Which brings me to my next point. So many of us look at dying as if it's an if I die, and not a when I die or how I die. And that is such a silly, insane way of reality. There are cultures where that isn't the case, but in our Western culture, there's a denial of death, and that gets us into a lot of trouble, because when we just don't anticipate it, and when we do, we go, oh my God, how did this happen? When we are dying, or we are given a prognosis of a terminal illness, we go, oh my God, how did that happen? And what does that mean? Where if we become more aware of the fact of our dying, then we can engage with our life-death process all the time. It can be just part of our life. We say there's, in terms of meditations, there's meditations about the breath and breathing in and breathing out. And that exhalation, in a sense, is a death of the breath process, the cycle. And there's a life cycle for so many different elements, the cell dividing and dying and all of the elements of life that are life and death related. And if we can engage in life with a more real orientation to death happens. And so how do I want to engage with my death? I spoke about home funerals or independent funerals, or funerals that are different than having to go to a funeral home. Like, you have so many choices, and how you want to die, who you want to be there, how you want it to celebrate, all of those things. You have so much more choice in that process. And that is part of our aging like a guru, is we take responsibility not only for the thriving and being in the moments of life, but we also engage in death in a much more conscious way. And the other element of this is that part of living is being in the elements of life that are part of thriving, but are also what we consider negative. In a sense, it's really scary. It's really scary to be in a body that is in decline, that where there's more pain, where there's more less abilities to walk or stay in balance, the more vulnerable we feel as we get older. And all of these feelings and emotions and thoughts are part of our existence and humanness. And so as we get older and we go, what's the point of it all? Why did I do all of this? Where does this lead me? And feeling the despair of that, the emptiness of that, the void of that, brings us to the truest essence of ourselves, not only in terms of that's all we are is this void, but within that void, within that empty moments, within that sense of what's the point, we come to something else, something where we feel a flourish and an inspiration and a truth that we didn't or weren't able to see until now, that there's something very, very, very valuable and precious about being in these human suits, no matter how long we live in them, no matter no matter what we do in them. There's a preciousness and a value to being here. And I believe we're here to know that experience of, oh, even though I feel despair and despondence and depressed and dejected, all the D words, there's still something really precious here. And I want to know that. And I want you to know that. I want you to know that experience within you. I know that you have had and will have experiences that are beyond your capacity, your belief that your capacity to survive the situation, but you will, and until you don't, right? All right. Well, this is the completion of 101 podcasts on aging like a guru. I have no idea whether there will be more. I suspect there may be. But this will be the completion of this set of podcasts on aging like a guru. If you have questions, if you have comments, if you have other ideas of what you'd like me to be speaking about in relation to aging or dying, living and dying, please let me know, and I'd be happy to talk about that with you and or to do a podcast on it. All right, that's it for now. Big hugs and bye for now.